Hello everyone, this is Rezi and welcome to my Resident Evil 2 review. Now the reason I have picked Resident Evil 2 as my first review on the channel is purely down to the fact it's one of my favourite games of all time.
Resident Evil.
There are multiple ways to play the game, but the video will demonstrate my personal favourite and the one that is deemed canon by Capcom themselves, which is Claire A and Leon B. The game takes place after the mansion incident in the first Resident Evil game. Chris's sister Claire comes to Raccoon City to try and track down her lost brother.
I'm finally here.
But sinister events have taken place in this once peaceful town. As a result of an unfortunate chain of events, the G-Virus has now turning the once peaceful community into deadly zombies.
Why'd he bite me?
Hello? Is anyone here?
Claire Redfield is unaware of the zombie outbreak that now has Raccoon City
Anyone here?
at its mercy.
Hello? Wait! Don't shoot!
Get down!
Lucky for Claire, a rookie cop named Leon Kennedy also arrives at Raccoon City to start his first day as a police officer in the Raccoon City Police Department. They are both about to go on an adventure they would never forget.
Claire!
Leon!
I'm okay. Head to the station. I'll meet you there.
Okay.
Okay, so now we've got that introduction out the way, I'm going to talk about why I think Resident Evil is not only one of the best Resident Evil games, it is also one of the best games ever made.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
Don't shoot!
Chances are that since the game's release in 1998, you have played this game probably not just the once, but numerous times. Since the game's release in 1998, if you were to ask me how many times I've played this game, I couldn't give you an answer. But all I know is this year has been a quiet year for me, as I've only completed it 3 times. It shows you just such the replayability of this game. It is just unbelievable. And it's one of the few games that I've ever played that I find myself, no matter how many times I play it, I just don't seem to get bored. If there was one criticism of the game, and it is not the game's fault, but you could say that game came out too early in the series in regards to a masterpiece, and Capcom has forever been unable to remove itself from the shadow it casts. So what is special about this game? If you look at the puzzles, they are certainly not very complicated, unlike say Tomb Raider, which was out at the same time. Sure, it has its scary moments, but I wouldn't exactly call it terrifying.
Claire!
And the voice acting and dialogue certainly wouldn't win any awards.
Have you seen a little girl around here?
Then again, it certainly was an improvement on the master of unlocking shockingly bad dialogue in the first game.
I don't know. But it's too dangerous for her to stay here alone. Leon, I'll go look for her. You go and find us a way out of here.
Of course. But before I forget, here's a radio. That way we can keep in touch if something comes up.
But who really cares about awful dialogue when you can kill zombie after zombie after zombie? Burn them all!
Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I thought you were another one of those zombies.
Resident Evil 2 is more than a zombie game though. Even though there are lots and lots and lots and lots of zombies, there are other creatures that want to rip you from limb to limb, like lickers or giant alligators that come out the water in the sewer. But it's really a creature called William Birkin who steals the show. William Birkin is such an amazing antagonist. Throughout the whole game he is constantly mutating, bringing a new terrifying creature to battle with. The only criticism I could give during the boss battles is the lack of movement, and with lack of quick turn and obviously the use of tank controls, navigating around is pretty hard sometimes, especially when you fight a boss in a small area. When the game was released, its pre-rendered background brought life to the world. From the streets of Raccoon City to the police department, sewers and underground labs, the world in Resident Evil 2 is simply amazing. This all leads to the inevitable showdown with William Birkin in the underground labs. Just when you think he is beaten, the game constantly throws new twists at you. When the game was released in 1998, its cutscenes is simply amazing. Obviously today, they are not quite up to the standard of modern releases, but they certainly hold up very well. And just when you think you've completed the game isn't done with you yet. The game is such an enriched, tightly woven story that it requires multiple playthroughs with various characters to reveal all of its secrets. The time of the game's release, once a game was completed, was considered the norm. There was no DLC at the time, but this game came with 4 different playthroughs, and playing the game on version B with a different character revealed a whole new side story which was ahead of its time. Whilst you completed the game as Claire fighting William Birkin, when you played the game's B story of Leon, you were face to face with a new foe, Mr. X. Unlike William Birkin, who was mainly used as boss battles throughout Claire's story, Mr. X could appear at any time. You could say he was a precursor to Nemesis, and Capcom used Mr. X as a template when creating Resident Evil 3. I could go as far and say that the B story certainly has more jumps and scares than A. The only issue I had with Mr. X was that he was easy to defeat, especially with the amount of powerful weapons at your disposal. Another great thing with the game was the secondary characters. Claire was helped by Sherry, but it was Leon's helper Ada that really shined. She established herself as a fan favourite from the beginning. And one final thing about Mr. X. Although he's relatively easy to kill throughout the game, his final form, especially if you are not prepared, is the most challenging fight in the game. But the game isn't done with you yet, as only when you complete the game's B scenario do you finally reveal the true ending.
This is not good. Leon, where are you?
The complexity of this game really gives you a sense of satisfaction when you finally beat its multiple playthroughs.
Sherry? What are you doing?
We have to stop the train, right? I can do
It is really easy to see why this game is a favourite for most Resident Evil fans, and it is with great delight and also a degree of trepidation that we await the upcoming remake.
Which
I just hope they use the original remake as inspiration to Resident Evil 2's remake. So in conclusion, yes, this game has its faults. What game doesn't? But in my eyes, the game is perfect. It has a wonderful mixture of interesting characters, enemies, story, gameplay, and a wonderful music score. I am pretty confident that in 20 years' time, if you were to ask me what I think of this game, I will still think the same, will still be playing it, and will still be enjoying every moment of it. Overall, I give this game a whopping 98%.